Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to explore what happens when our brain's hidden programs, the code that literally builds our reality, start to glitch out. We're going to look at these neurological breaks that don't just show us what's broken, but actually reveal the secret architecture of our own minds.
So let's start with something you probably did today without even thinking about it, using a key. It feels completely automatic, doesn't it? But what's really happening is this incredibly complex, learned skill orchestrated perfectly by your brain. It's like a tiny, perfect motor program running flawlessly in the background. Okay, now, imagine this. Your hand is perfectly fine, it's strong, you can see the key, you can hold on to it, and you know you need to open that door. But your brain has just forgotten the sequence. It's like the recipe, the how-to for turning the key, has been completely erased.
This condition has a name. It's called Apraxia. And as the source material makes super clear, this is not a problem with the muscles. It's not a problem with understanding the goal. It is a disorder of motor planning. The brain's ability to actually sequence the required movements is what's lost.
And this slide just nails the difference perfectly. Think of it like this. Weakness is a hardware problem. The muscles, the physical parts, can't carry out the order. But apraxia? That's a software problem. The brain itself just can't generate the right string of commands. The internal instruction manual is corrupted.
All right, if you thought that was strange, let's move on to an even weirder glitch. Imagine your eyes are working perfectly. 20/20 vision. You can see every line, every color, every little detail of an object right in front of you, but you have absolutely no idea what it is.
This is agnosia, and it's a failure not of sensation, but of recognition. The raw data from your eyes is coming in just fine, but the brain's association areas, the parts that are supposed to connect the dots, can't match that data to a memory. I mean, you could be looking at your own face in the mirror and have no idea whose it is.
And then there's a related and frankly mind-bending condition called neglect syndrome. This quote just captures it so perfectly. It's not that a patient sees blackness or an empty space on one side. No, it's that an entire half of their universe has simply ceased to exist in their awareness. You see people who will only eat the food from the right side of their plate or only shave the right side of their face.
And this slide brilliantly explains why this bizarre thing happens. The source material points to this really critical asymmetry in our brains. So, check this out. Your right parietal lobe is in charge of your spatial attention for both sides of your world, but your left lobe, it mostly just handles the right side. So what happens if you damage that right lobe? Well, there's no backup system for the left side of your space, and so for your brain, it's just gone.
All right, now let's shift gears and look at what happens when the very part of our brain that's supposed to be in charge of everything, our personality, our planning, our judgment, our inner CEO, what happens when that part is compromised? We're talking about the prefrontal cortex. This is the main office, the seat of what neurologists call executive function. It's what allows us to think abstractly, to make good judgments, to control our impulses. Honestly, it's the part of us that makes us, well, us.
And believe it or not, clinicians can actually test this CO. They use these specific kinds of assessments you see here. For abstract thinking, they might ask something like, how are a watch and a ruler alike? For judgment, what would you do if you found a stamped, addressed envelope on the street? And for inhibition, they're looking at whether a patient can control inappropriate or impulsive behaviors. These simple questions are actually probing the very core of our executive control.
Now, when there's damage to this executive center, it doesn't just cause one little symptom. It can cause a whole collection of profound changes that neurologists group together and call frontal lobe syndrome.
This slide is just fascinating because it maps the symptoms you see on the outside directly to the causes deep inside. For instance, you might see huge personality changes, and that's because the frontal lobe can no longer put the brakes on our deep emotional centers. And get this, look at the second one. Primitive reflexes, the kind we have as infants, can actually reappear because the frontal lobe's off switch for those old brain circuits is broken.
So after looking at all these strange and sometimes really devastating conditions, what's the big takeaway? What do all these glitches in the system actually teach us about ourselves?
Well, here's the crucial point. These conditions aren't just medical curiosities. They are powerful, profound windows into the brain's hidden workings. They reveal that the things we absolutely take for granted, like recognizing a friend's face, or using a fork, or just behaving appropriately in public, all of it depends on these specific, incredibly intricate and vulnerable neural networks, all firing in perfect harmony.
And that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. Like the slide asks, if our brain's wiring defines our reality, then what happens when that wiring changes?
It's a reminder that our perception of the world, it isn't a perfect, crystal clear photograph of reality. It is a fragile biological construction. It's a story told to us by our own neurology. And if the storyteller changes, so does the story.